After the privatization of the bauxite industry in 2004, the government did not change the traditional giveaway electricity tariffs in bauxite communities, which required costs of $2 billion each year. Nevertheless, irrespective of the sincere attempts by the administration to help Linden retain its status, opposition politicians encouraged Lindeners to reject the increased tariffs, and in the process they began destruction of the once proud township of Linden and the progress it has made over the years. Over the years, cheap electricity in Linden has resulted in wanton wastage of this vital service, with usage being about 2 to 3 times more than other consumers. As such, the situation has become unsustainable.
As this first step, we are allowing 50 kilowatt hours per month to every customer in Linden at prices prevailing today. And let me say that the $50 for residential pay for every kilowatt hour in excess beyond 50. I read some of the reports, and it seemed to suggest that if you take 52 kilowatt hours, then you pay $50 for every 52. It's not like that. You get the first 50 at 5, and the next 2 or the next 10 or 20 that you burn, you pay $50 a kilowatt hour on it. And so that is still subsidized by about a third in the particular circumstances of Linden, and the commercial at $65 per kilowatt hour is still subsidized at a rate of about 15 to 20%. We have done this rate. There may have been other ways to spend to structure the tariff and still keep within the budget allocation for this year, but we've done it this way because we sought to protect those people with smaller incomes, and we also wanted to give an incentive to those with larger incomes and who would burn more than 50 kilowatt hours, to give an incentive to conserve and save.
At the current tariffs and rates of consumption of electricity in Linden, the allocation of $1.8 billion to subsidize the cost of producing electricity in Linden will be exhausted in early September. As such, the revised tariff was necessary. Bauxite generates all the electricity consumed by Linden, which is then sold to the Linden Electricity Company at a cost that is borne by government.
For the residential consumers, we sell them at $1 a kilowatt hour. $1 kilowatt hour we sell to the Co-op Society, and they currently retail at $7. For the business community, we sell them at $7 per kilowatt hour, and they retail at $15. For the consumers on the East Bank, we sell them at the residential at $5 and the business at $12 a kilowatt hour. There's a small group of Linden pensioners who currently receive 300 kilowatt hour per month free, and consumption above that, they pay $5. When we look at the actual consumption of our customers, it is not surprising that the pensioners are the highest consumers. They have been receiving 300 kilowatt hours free. They used about 300 kilowatt hours per month. The other residential, they use about 260 kilowatt hour a month. They use less than the pensioners.
If the subsidy that Lindeners enjoy was reduced to zero, then they would have been forced to pay the identical tariffs that the rest of the grid currently pays.
In the GPL license, we cannot discriminate between consumers in the same tariff category. So if the consumers in Linden become part of the GPL system, we cannot charge one residential tariff in Georgetown and a lower residential tariff in Linden. is not allowed by our license.
I think the answer to that is for during the stages of reform, the government will go in between, and so the GPL will see charge or something, and we will make up for the transition period. We will make up any differences as we're doing now, basically.
2004, government allocated $1.253 billion to subsidize electricity in Linden. In 2005, $1.65 billion. 2006, $1.645 billion. 2007, $1.618 billion. 2008, $2.328 billion. 2009, $1.980 billion. 2010, $1.968 billion. 2011, $2.526 billion. And 2012, $1.885 billion. The cost of electricity depends heavily on the cost of oil prices. Fueled by diesel, the cost of generation in Linden has been between $59 and $62 per kilowatt hour. And when the 24% losses and distribution and commercial costs are taken into account, the average cost recovery price to consumers in Linden would be about $75 to $80 per kilowatt hour. Increased tariff process came on stream from July 1, 2012. And the administration is not surprised by the outcry and resistance mounted by Lindeners.
I'll go to the pro harass people. It's scary that you gotta get wet rather or something.
This is the final one!
Since its privatization, more than $2 billion were injected to ensure that workers received their benefits, while between 2004 to date, more than $17 billion was spent for improved infrastructure in the town, which included a pure water distribution network, electricity and housing development, bringing benefits to the residents. Consumers in other parts of the country who are paying much more than the Lindeners feel that the entire country should be paying the same rate.
Why should be the same, right? Equal rates, you know, and everything is paid. I don't see why they have to pay 50 if we pay 60. Like if we pay 50, they have to pay. Both for everybody else.
If it's going to be a gradual increase, then it's fair, but I think after 6 months, the situation should be assessed to see if it's still working, if Lindeners can still afford to pay, and if they can't, then revise what you've put in place and see how that works.
I don't know really why they have to pay this, why and the whole country paying the same thing. Why they want that really? I don't really understand why they should pay less. And everybody working hard for the same money.
It should be general. General would be more something that is acceptable.
It should be fair. You got to be fair, right? You got to be fair because you got to be careful. I mean, around here, what you're saying, right? It's not, nice place to be standing, but it's really tough, It's really tough because our life is like $7,000, and we have to pay.
It's all about being fair. Yeah, I don't find that being, because all right, I have to manage my money, others got to manage their money also, and if I'm going to hear that somebody else is paying less, I'd want to pay less also. So it all boils down to fairness.
It should be equal. It It should be equal. Yes.
Okay. If we are paying certain amount, they should pay the same thing because we live in the same country. And it's unfair for they to pay less and we to pay more.
We all should pay the same thing.
If everybody working, all we should pay the same electricity bill. If I'm paying 65, you're working also, you should pay the same 65. I don't see a reason stopping me or you to pay something different. I mean, you might live remotely, but there are people that live in remote locations that still pay the same amount of electricity bill. So I said all should be the same.
I believe democracy is about equality, and equality means same rights, same consequences. Our consequences are a particular rate, their consequence should be a particular rate too. I mean, I don't see why is it they should be having a preferential rate. If the borough mine can't produce enough electricity anymore for them, too bad, you know. That's just the way it is. You got the consequence of it, you have to man up and pay the bills.
Nevertheless, despite the original agreement of the leader of the opposition that the tariff would indeed be increased, APNU reneged on this, and combined parliamentary opposition politicians continued to encourage Londoners to reject the increased tariffs. A township growing in prosperity is being destroyed by the combination of the parliamentary opposition led and encouraged by the AFC APNU on their quest to undermine the development of the nation.